So in the yoga system, okay, here's our teaching. You apply this to your life, and what experience you have will indicate if this is valuable, if it's not valuable, if things are changing in your life, if your heart is changing, your desires are changing, your attraction to these teachings and the practice of these teachings is increasing. Do you feel happier? Do you feel more satisfied? Then, okay, on that basis, faith begins to develop. I have faith in this because it works for me. And of course, in our teachings, there's going to be things that you can't prove, many, many things. But through this practice and experience, then you're going to actually develop real faith. And it's based on that. It's not based on just somebody said so.
Hey there, this is Ruben, and welcome to the Breaking Trail podcast. You'll also meet my friend and teacher Balaki in this podcast. Me and Balaki are the ones who are kind of hosting this together if you haven't joined us before, and you'll get to tune into our conversation. And today we're going to go into depth on the topic of blind faith, blind following, and fanaticism. So happy to have you along as usual. Now let's begin.
Yeah, crazy times, huh?
Crazy times. But yeah, hopefully not so crazy on the inside if one sticks to the bhakti yoga process.
There are, 500,000 Ukrainian refugees in Poland or in the EU, but they'll start in Poland anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of opportunity for outreach.
Just a lot of fear and a lot of conflict and a lot of,
Yeah.
a lot of blind faith.
That's unfortunately true. Blind faith.
I read something before the talk today, and that rejection of all faith as blind is blind faith.
Yeah.
If you just blindly reject all possible faiths as blind faiths, then you're the one who's having blind faith. you're the one who's blind.
Remember our spiritual master said, don't accept blindly, but also don't reject blindly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So blindness is never good on either end,
Yeah.
I mean, just like when you're physically blind, it's not good. There's no way you can say it's a good thing, unless you're a musician. Musicians.
Huh? Yeah.
The blind ones are oftentimes the best because they develop the sense of hearing far beyond the ordinary person.
All right.
When I grew up, we had a piano in the house, and my mom played piano just at home, and my sister also. And it was one of the old ones, and it was probably worth a lot of money now, but anyway. And every so often, and I don't know, every 6 months or a year, my dad would go pick up this blind piano tuner. And he would bring him, and he would sit there, couldn't see a thing.
Wow.
And he'd just sit there, and he could tune. They didn't have, tuning forks and,
You just had to listen.
Tuners that we have now. They just did it by ear.
Wow.
And he tuned that thing's perfect.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's been some blind singers like Stevie Wonder, for instance, and so on, that couldn't see, but they could hit the note. Their musical ear was highly evolved. So anyway, but other than that, how do we get? But other than that, yeah, So if you're blind in any category, it's a negative.
Yeah. But I guess in this case, you are believing that you're not blind. You're believing that those people are blind, and I'm not blind. I'm seeing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That the people that are believing in some kind of faith, they're the blind ones, and while I'm
right. Well, yeah, that's what we were speaking about. Who is a true guru?
Exactly.
Last time.
Yeah.
And the subject was mentioned that a true guru does not want blind followers.
Yeah.
He discourages that 100%.
Yeah.
And that's why he's so precise in explaining everything, in very simple terms in great detail, and repeating it, again and again, so people really understand what they're doing, why they're doing it, etc. He doesn't want blind followers. He wants people with their eyes fully open. They know what they're doing. They made the decision to do it, and they're not just taking it because somebody said it. But pseudo-guru wants blind followers. That's his market. So he can, fake people, and they won't know that it's fake. They'll think he's a true speaker, purveyor of the truth and whatever, and he can collect many, many followers and thus cheat them and exploit them. And
so the blinder, the better.
Yeah, the blinder, the better, And if somebody starts to wake up and open their eyes and see, then they're a threat. You see, they're in the way. So he would like to get rid of them.
Which is in line with most of these guys' teachings, which are that you are God and you don't need a teacher. So if someone fully realizes that and become realized in that knowledge, they will realize that they have no need for this guy because he says, teacher, so I don't need a teacher either. So I will no longer need him as my guide. So so the teacher has a inherent vested interest in keeping his followers non-enlightened to avoid them leaving him.
Yeah, he's got to dumb them down so when he presents himself as the final teacher, saying you don't need a teacher, they won't catch the contradiction. Wait a minute, if I don't need a teacher, you're telling me I don't need a teacher, but you're teaching me that I don't need a teacher, so you're contradicting your words.
No.
Yeah.
And
but a blind person can't see that. So they like to build up, emotion and sentiment, and just get people attached to them by their charisma. And you mentioned it last week. I remember about their looks, how they look and where they're from, and their accent, and just present the image.
And that's where, if you don't want to be blind, you need knowledge, you need wisdom, and the most important thing is what we always start with, and we come back to on and again in this Breaking Trail podcast. You are not your body. So whatever you look like, whatever the appearance is like, that's your body. That's not you. That doesn't make you a spiritual master. That doesn't make. So if you want to not be blind, you need to know that. You need to start with that first basic step of knowledge, and then apply that to everything, because that's gonna change everything. If you don't know that, then you really don't know anything in a spiritual sense.
That's right. Yeah.
So.
I've used, sometimes the example of a person wanting to buy a car, a used car. So he goes to the used car lot, and the salesman comes out. This guy doesn't know anything about cars, nothing, mechanically, anything. That's the perfect customer, because that salesman can say, oh, well, this is a perfect car, and it's only been used by the little old lady that drove it to the market, and whatever he wants to say. And let's go for a test drive. And there's obvious some sounds going on that indicate some problem, or, it's not running. But this person who doesn't know anything about cars, he doesn't know anything. Oh, what's that noise? Oh, it's nothing. It's just, normal, for cars to make that noise. Then he can cheat this person so easily, But if the person's done his research, if he studied the subject, if he knows what he's looking for, if he, is a little mechanically aware something, then the salesman is stuck, Oh, wait a minute, I hear that noise. That's an indication, there's a bad wheel bearing, or, when you take off, it's vibration, or that's indicating of a worn clutch, and et cetera, et cetera. And so, hard to cheat a knowledgeable person.
Yeah.
So the guy had to do his research. He had to become educated in the subject to prevent himself from getting cheated. So it's the same in spiritual life.
No.
Like we said, one of the qualifications of a real guru is he must be saying what is taught in Scripture. But if you don't know what is taught in Scripture, then
you can't check.
How are you going to check? Oh, in Bhagavad Gita it says this. You never read Bhagavad Gita. Oh, okay. And so therefore, you're blind, and you can be exploited. Yeah.
And what you just said before made me like, it's just so. There's a quote that a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. So without the knowledge and the wisdom, we can speak to someone, and we can convince someone, but if you don't really have developed the knowledge by that you yourself taking the decision that this is something that you feel and you realize is true, then it's still it doesn't change things. Like your friend Acharya Das, he has a nice series on the science of yoga and on YouTube, and he said that one is encouraged to come to the point, this is talking about the yoga system, one is encouraged to come to the point of great clarity of that which is true. It's not just encouraged, but it's an integral part of the yoga system to come to the experience the reality of truths that are put forward. It's actively disencouraged that you should simply believe in something or have faith in it. Because again, like the quote I was reading, you don't really change your heart. You just perhaps, try to change, or you try to change someone's opinion, but it doesn't really change.
Right.
So.
And he also had that quote about, questioning is encouraged.
Yeah. Yes.
If you have doubts, then you should ask the question. Doubts can really weaken a person, but if you have doubts and you want those doubts dispelled because well, this is making me weak. I can't move forward because I'm doubting it. I'm afraid. And so ask the question, dispel my doubts. And that Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, is in that position where he's got doubts, but he's asking Krishna to remove those doubts.
Yeah.
Because he sees them as a big obstacle, a big challenge that he doesn't want to have. So we encourage questions. This is the point. Serious questions. there's two categories of questions. There's just mental questions, where, the mind is unlimited in what it can. Well, what about if this and this, then would this, but serious questions. And if you're serious about these subjects, then you'll ask serious questions. And then when it's explained to you, and due to that explanation and receiving the knowledge, then the doubt's gone. Now you don't doubt anymore. Oh, I know. So that's encouraged by a real spiritual master. But again, a pseudo-spiritual master, don't ask questions. Just listen, just believe. I've had many people come to me over the years who said, I went to my priest, or I went to, some authority and asked questions about God. And they'd say, oh, God is a mystery. Don't ask questions. Nobody knows God. He's a mystery. Nobody can know God. You see? Yeah. And it wasn't satisfying for them. They didn't get what they wanted. And when they came to this bhakti yoga teaching and asked the same question, and they got an unlimited amount of answers, they go, well, yeah, thank you, because I've been asking this question all my life and nobody's ever answered it before.
Yeah.
So
if we look at the idea of a faith that we, if we see
look at what?
If we look at the idea of faith and the idea of faith in religious what is normally seen as religion, what is the role of faith in the yoga system as compared to, because in different religions it feels like faith is you just blindly accept the truths that are proposed, and that's the idea of faith. You just need to believe this. So how is that distinguished from the yoga system? I guess that's an important...
Well, the idea that you just said, okay, I'm a whatever, Christian, Muslim, even a Hindu, whatever, and I believe everything, see? So that's blind faith again, But we don't accept that. I remember one time a person came to my spiritual master who was giving at that time a series of lectures, and he came to all the lectures. But he was also going, and when he, to another place, and hearing from another source. So one night he came up to our spiritual master and he says, I got a question. He said, I come here and I listen to what you say. I really like it. And all the people here tell me, you are a real guru. But I go to this other place and they tell me you're not a real guru. So my question to you is, are you a real guru or not? And my spiritual master smiled and he says, that's not really an intelligent question. Because I can tell you anything I want. If I tell you I am a real guru, do you know that? If I tell you I'm not a real guru, do you know that? See? You have to have that experience. You have to have that confirmation within you. You have to listen to what I say, compare it with Scripture, all the things that we've talked about before. See?
Yeah.
And then you make the decision. You come to the conclusion if I'm a true guru or not.
Right.
So again, that's the way it should be. But in the yoga system, okay, here's our teaching. You apply this to your life, and what experience you have will indicate if this is valuable, if it's not valuable, if things are changing in your life, if your heart is changing, your desires are changing, Your attraction to these teachings and the practice of these teachings is increasing? Do you feel happier? Do you feel more satisfied? Then, okay, on that basis, faith begins to develop. I have faith in this because it works for me. And of course, in our teachings, there's going to be things that you can't prove, many, many things. But through this practice and experience, then you're going to actually develop real faith. And it's based on that. It's not based on just somebody said so.
Yeah, it's based on your actual experience of that in your own life.
Yeah. So we're not promoting joining a team. See, a lot of people get their so-called spiritual strength from being a member of a team, which is the best team, the right team. I'm on the good guys team. I'm on the winning team. I'm going to go to heaven because I'm signed up. I'm an official member. I'm in the book.
Yeah.
And so that gives them strength. And so it's kind of like the group thing, We're all in this together. Yeah, we're wearing these clothes, or, like a athletic team. We're all wearing the same jerseys and, rah, rah, rah. We get the same motivation and the pep talks and et cetera. But that's not spiritual life. Spiritual life is an individual relationship between a person, his spiritual master, and the Supreme Lord. And that's all. I mean, really, that's the crux of it. Yeah, if there's other people around and, they're experiencing these truths and they're, as a result, enthused and, their faith is strong and motivation is correct and so on. Well, that's obviously going to help you too. See?
Yeah.
But it's not the group thing. It just happens to be people of the same interest and the same motivation, the same experience and the same, desires and so on that happen to come together. Birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah. And it's kind of like you have to make it your own. You have to apply it to your own life. I've seen many people come and go during my years as teaching meditation classes, and people, they stay around for 6 months, a year, but they're really just interested in hanging around the guys, and they're not really making it, applying their process to their own life. And after a while, it gets boring. It doesn't get, or I don't know, for some reason they fall away because I guess they don't experience the reality of these things because they are only reliant on this group, and and
yeah,
and we're not perfect. Like me as a person, I'm not perfect. I'm not that like a great guy. You're not going to be satisfied by just hanging around me and depending on me and being friends with me. But you will be happy by applying these teachings and getting closer to this supreme destination and the Supreme Lord. And that's
And some people with this kind of mentality or motivation, they'll come for a while, but they just don't like the group. They don't like the guys, or that
exactly. So
both
that's
male and female.
It's another problem, yeah.
And so they go somewhere else. Oh, I like these guys.
Yeah.
I like this social club more than the other social club, so they stay there. And that's not anything to do with what we're talking about. Yeah. So there's a lot involved in getting past all the material attractions and what really makes it so I like someone or I don't, or I like a group or I don't, or I like this or I don't like, because it satisfies my mind, my senses. We keep it on that material level, but we got to go past that, you know.
Yeah.
This is affecting me, the spirit soul. This is attracting. And that's why when some ups and downs come within the group or relationships within the group, or, you know, I see something I don't understand or I don't like, you know, oh, I'm not going to do this anymore. I don't like this because, you know, this guy said this, or, you know, but if it's real and we're having that real experience, you know, then, you know, all these changes, ups and downs, which are going to happen everywhere in the material world, aren't the deciding factor, you know. If I'm the only guy left, I'm still going to be here. You know, I'm the guy. I have my relationship, and I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
That's real faith, you know.
And
So we,
yeah, and over dependence on the group is leading to a lot of problems. There, I'm not sure. Maybe you know who said this, that the team spirit is the greatest threat to mankind, or something like that. Remember that quote?
I've heard it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not sure. And probably who I heard it from was repeating it from someone else. But yeah.
Think of, yeah. So because that is the we versus them is the path to fanaticism basically. It's, yeah, and that's not the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, like, what is a fanatic? A person who has a lot of emotion and a lot of sentiment, but little or no knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the definition of a fanatic. So he's on the team. He's really enthusiastic about it. You know, he's been converted, so to speak, you know, and now he wants to go out and convert other people. Yeah. You must come. You must do this, you know, and maybe he backs it up with a lot of threats. If you don't do this, then this will happen and this will happen. And, you know, but if you do this, then the good things will happen, this and this and this. So come join our team, you know. And so there's a lot of force from many different angles, like the philosophical forces. If you don't join us, and you're going to go to a bad place, you're going to suffer, you're going to, you know, be whatever, depending on the philosophy he's putting forth, you know. So if you want to be safe and happy and, you know, go to heaven kind of thing, join us. You know, you're on the right team.
Yeah.
You're saved because of your membership.
Yeah.
And so the coercion can take many different forms, many different ways. You know, there was a group that was obviously a sect or cult, or however you want to describe it. And this was back in the 70s when there was a lot of this taking place. You know, a very big, strong, charismatic leader would start gathering people around and, you know, give some name to his process or movement and, you know, collect a group of people. And there's a lot of young people in those days really looking for these kinds of things. It was very popular. And you know. So anyway, there was one group, and so he had a lot of followers, and a lot of them were in young female bodies, you know. And if a guy would come, they would just love bomb him, you know, and just put all the love on him and the moves, and, you know, to the extent of, you know, you know, and whatever that they needed to do to tantalize the senses of this new potential member, and they would join up. And if a girl came, the guys would do the same to her. And that was one of their main recruiting methods. And they were instructed to do this. Okay, now this is your service. This is how you should, get more people to come. And of course it worked. Yeah, they had a lot of people. But gradually over time, they could begin to see through it. And, there was nothing really there. It was just sensual, stimulation. And, gradually it all dissolved on its own.
Mm. And I guess, again, proper understanding is a key there. It's like this purport in the beginning, very, very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, that in this Kali Yuga, the atmosphere is surcharged with faithlessness. Men are no longer interested in spiritual values. Material sense gratification is now the standard of civilization. And if you you just know that that's not where it's at. If you have that proper information, you cannot be misguided in that way. But it's something that's it seems like we spoke about this briefly last time, that it's like the cheaters and the cheated. It's almost like we have a tendency to be cheated. It's almost like we want to be cheated. And I'm thinking, could it be that we're so in lack of idols that we're just, ready to accept anyone as our big idol, as our savior, because we don't have proper idols, proper people to look up to in our life? I don't know. It's
idols or heroes.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe heroes. Yeah.
And another reason, that's one thing, and another reason is we're lazy.
Yeah.
Lazy. You don't have to do any work. You just plug in. Plug and play, as they say. You just come, plug in, and that's all. You don't have to do the internal work. You don't have to look deep. You don't have to examine your heart and, take the teaching down to the heart and, really pray. Can you give me some to the Lord? Give me some guidance on this. Give me some insight. I remember one time, I forget the exact details, but anyway, a friend of mine who was very, very well versed in all of this and had understanding on a very, very high level, was saying we should not pray to God, because some people say, oh, you got to pray to God to ask him to show me, is this person your real representative? Say you've kind of come to a point where you've accepted or approached or been, introduced to a person, but you don't know for sure if he's a real guru or not. So you've heard, or maybe just intuitively, you pray to God, God, please, can you reveal to me, is this your representative or not? See? And he said, that's not good. Because the Lord knows your heart. Do you really want a real guru? Or do you want to know if this person is a real guru? Because you like what he looks like, or whatever your reasoning is, you see? He said, your prayer should be, show me who is your real guru. Not, is this one? Because if this is the one you want, you're not really serious, but you're kind of like, okay, I want this one. Then God will give you what you want. Yeah, sure, he's my representative. And you've now been confirmed inside that, oh, well, yeah, he is. So you've cheated yourself, really, because you're not really wanting to know. I don't care who it is. It could be this person, another person, whoever, where they're from, what country, what they look like. I don't care. Just guide me to your true representative. See, that's a complete different request, a complete different prayer. See, and that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Mm. So again, it's many pitfalls or many ways to to cheat yourself, really.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
So do we? How do you then make sure that you're not falling into the category of let's see, there's in yoga circles, maybe someone has heard the word yama niyama, and there's a concept that's called niyama graha, which is very undesirable. We could just say, and anyway, it means either following rules and regulations insufficiently or fanatically without understanding the goal. And this is one of mentioned in the text that writes this, that it's one of the stumbling blocks for your spiritual life. So fanatically following the guidelines, the rules and regulations without understanding the goal, that's actually a huge pitfall. So yeah.
well, that takes us back to the beginning where we said this true guru teacher, he wants you to know what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Yeah.
So from the very beginning, he teaches us what the goal is. Yeah. This is the goal, which you develop in love for God. And this is how you achieve that. And he even describes how this activity will make it possible for you to go beyond this obstacle, this distraction, that distraction, etc., and keeps you on the straight line to the goal. It will purify your mind. It will purify your senses. It will purify your heart. It will keep your senses from being engaged in activities that will contaminate you and put you under the influence of the modes of nature. In other words, he explains all this. So you're not just fanatically following rules and regulations and don't even know what the goal is. Or why are you doing that particular practice? I don't know. I was just told to do it. You see?
Yeah, exactly.
Again, that's like, I don't know why I'm doing it, but I was told to do it, so I do it.
So you need to make sure that you understand why you do it. You can't just again rely on the team, and then the team says you should do it, and then okay, I do it.
Yeah. So again, it's back to open your eyes, get this knowledge, know what you're doing and why you're doing it.
No. No.
Get up early in the morning. Why? Why do you get up early? Oh, I don't know. I just told to do it.
Yeah.
But if you've been properly educated by a true teacher, then you've got a real answer. No, I don't know. You don't say that. I know. Because it's the time of the mode of goodness during the 24 hours of the day. That influence will definitely, help me, to do this practice. It will be, easier for me to do it. And it states clearly in Scripture, Srimad Bhagavatam, for instance, that, your spiritual practice at that time will produce more results than if you do it. In other words, there's a lot of reasons to get up early. There's that you need to know. And if you know that, then you've got knowledge, and you're not just doing something because what if you've got somebody telling you to do this and you do it and it's the wrong thing?
Exactly.
You shouldn't be doing it. So it's a big danger and lack of understanding. So fanaticism is never good. Never.
No.
And the Vedas warn against it. Just like you read. It's niyama griha.
Niyama graha.
Graha, yeah.
Niyama agraha is fanatically with following the regulations without understanding the goal. Niyama agraha. Yeah.
And then another thing is about a fanatic is, they become very critical and judgmental of others.
Yeah.
If you're not doing what I'm doing, or if you're not serious enough, quote, and so on, then you're fallen, you're nobody, you're whatever. They become also very strong critics,
Yeah.
which is a detriment. They don't want to give anybody any room, to not be as perfect as they are.
Yeah.
I'm superior because I'm more perfect. I do my practices or follow the rules better than you.
Yeah.
So I'm superior to you. So you get this whole arrogant superiority complex evolving out of this.
And that's not the way forward. It's like the prayer that we have a prayer that we read every day. Every morning. I mean, both of us, and this is part of the guidance that we've received. That one should be lower, that one should feel oneself to be lower than the straw on the street, more tolerant than the tree, and ready to offer all respects to others. And that's, yeah.
Always in a humble state of mind.
Humble state of mind.
Fanaticism does not promote humility. Fanaticism promotes arrogance, which is the one of the big enemies of true spiritual progress.
Mm. Yeah.
And so we have to be careful all along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. There was something that I thought about, but then I forgot it. So I guess, yes, I do. Now I do remember because I wrote it down. That's good. I took some notes. There was something that we read in the purport by Bhaktivedanta Swami in the Bhagavad Gita that was just so perfect and clearly establishes how then to balance between not having blind skepticism or blind faith. So, and he says, the bhakti yoga process is a scientific execution of transcendental activities which enables one to return home.
Yeah.
Step-by-step scientific execution of transcendental activities which enables one to return home.
Yeah, it's perfect, like you said. Science, we hear so much about science, and they follow the science. You've got to follow the science. Of course, if you really followed the science, all this stuff that they say is the science would be debunked. Their definition of science is completely unscientific. But anyway, yeah, the bhakti yoga process is a scientific process, from the supreme scientist. And all of our disciplic line, all of our spiritual masters since time immemorable have been the perfect scientist in spiritual life, the perfect spiritual scientist. And so it's come down like that. So it can't be wrong because the original spiritual scientist is the Supreme Lord. I mean, he is the origin of true science. And so if you follow this bhakti yoga process, which is that process which he has, given to mankind as the topmost process, then you cannot go wrong. You can't go wrong. And people say, well, I tried it and it didn't work. But they didn't properly execute it. They didn't follow the guidelines, the recipe, so to speak. And did they do it under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master and follow his guidance properly.
Mm.
See, it didn't work maybe because you didn't apply it properly. You weren't really doing what was required.
Mm. Yeah.
You know, the topmost physician, you know, will have the vision. Let's just use an example. He will have the vision to cure your disease, and he gives you a specific protocol to follow. He gives you medication, he tells you how much to take and the schedule to take it in and what to expect and so on, and also combine it with these other things that you need to do, you know, a certain amount of sleep or diet or whatever it is, the whole protocol.
Yeah.
And if you do that, it works because he has the knowledge. He sees the problem. He has the solution. But if you say, okay, so you take, and you don't take you take half the amount he says, or you take it sporadically when you feel like it or you remember it, and you know, you don't follow the other things to support it. And that guy, I tried his cure, it didn't work.
No.
You know? And so that's the way it is in spiritual life. You know, I tried that, didn't work.
It's just in spiritual life, like just coming back to what you said. If a doctor says that, you'd be like very diligent. Like you'd take the pills on time, and you'd make, you know, really sure that you're doing everything. But in spiritual life, if someone says that, you were lazy. Oh man, you mean I'm gonna have to you know, so-called meditate for 5 minutes with his japa beads, do 1 run every day, you know? Can't do that.
and again, you know, the sick person, physically sick person, he knows he's sick, and he's feeling like I got to get well. I mean, this is not good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's motivated, much more motivated because of the pain and the disability, or, you know, the inconvenience of the sickness.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, they don't even realize that they're spiritually ill. And so, yeah, they might be a little interested. Oh, maybe I could get, but they're not really suffering like the guy that's, you know, got this physical ailment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, you know, they can also, you know, just do a little change here in life, and that a little change, and, you know, add a little extra sensual pleasure, or change things up a little bit and get a little relief. And they go, I mean, they're not so motivated.
Yeah.
They don't, because they're not really understanding their predicament.
Exactly. And we're saying, oh, it's just for someone else, just like now, you know. Oh, but this conflict is just over there, you know. I'm not part of it, so don't worry about it. You know. Oh, that person died, but I'm not gonna die. Oh, don't worry about it.
Right.
We're very willing to be blind and close our eyes, pretend like everything's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Say you're swimming in a vast sea, but, you know, you're feeling good. You're an expert swimmer. You're just cruising. The boat comes by. You know, better get in the boat. Nah, I'm fine. I don't need the boat, you know. And you just pass it up. But if you're drowning, you know, and the boat comes by, you'll jump in, you know, in a second.
Oh.
So, you know, we're drowning, but we don't know it. You know, we're fine. We're all right. I mean, that's normal. Drowning is normal in today's world. We're all drowning. It's just normal. And yeah, it's cool. It's all right. And like you say, there's some real tragedy happening, like, you know, you just referred to this conflict. And yeah, but it's not me. It's not. Yeah, we may have some empathy or sympathy or, you know, opinions, but it's not the same as if you're there in the middle. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to be educated From birth, I mean, that's the Vedic system from birth. In the Vedic society, which was, by the way, intact, even 500 years ago, but 5,000 years ago, it was much more so. And in other yugas, it was, again, much more so than now. I mean, we've kind of become more and more and more degraded over the expanse of years. But anyway, in the Vedic society, a person was taught these truths from birth, really. That was the focus of the educational system,
Right.
was on spiritual truth. And then they included, of course, all the education to deal with the material world as we need to, about health and economy and, whatever was needed. But the main education was spiritual education.
Yeah.
Well, that produced a different result, And, I mean, we only learn what we're taught, right? I mean, you're born, you don't know anything. So you're just taught whatever you're taught. And if you're taught, being in gangs and taking drugs is the way to go because you grew up in the ghetto and, basically didn't have any parents or direction, that's what you learned, But if you're taught spiritual truth, that's what you learn as well, And a different environment also, because in those Vedic times, you weren't the only guy being taught this, and everybody else was on the other's complete focus in life. But the whole society. So not only you, but all your friends.
Yeah.
It was normal. That was normal life. So you went to school with your friends and you learned these truths, plus, of course, the material, things you needed to know. But it was all connected with spiritual goals and So it was much easier. The kids weren't, I'm the only guy doing this and everybody else is having fun. So I'm the weird guy, and I don't like being weird, They look like they're enjoying life more than me. They didn't have that problem. Anyway, the Vedic society is perfect. Now we are far, far, far from those times, so we can't, just talk about that. We got to deal with what we got right now. But still, parents have the responsibility to educate their children, the spiritual responsibility to educate their children spiritually. But to do that, they got to be educated themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
So bringing back in the idea of a real spiritual teacher, and a real, spiritual follower, student, disciple, who is convinced in all the ways we've talked about, not blindly, but openly understanding. And then if they have the role of parent, they know how to execute that. They know their responsibility. They can apply that.
Yeah. Which is very similar to being a spiritual teacher, or like you said, in whichever position you are in, where people are, looking to you for guidance or for advice.
Yeah. So. Yeah. But anyway, we have to take it back home to ourselves and do our own work and, have our own inspiration and, our vision will be given to us. It says it in Bhagavad Gita many times. Those who render devotional service to me, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. The understanding, the vision comes from the Lord himself.
Yeah.
And so that's a gift that's given to those who, act in their proper position as the servant of the Supreme. And that's life. That's real life. And with that spiritual knowledge and vision, you can look at any situation, material situation like the conflict between Russia and Ukraine right now. You can look at it from a spiritual perspective, and you can understand the root of the problem is, not what they will tell you, it's because of this political situation and that, but it's much, much deeper than that. The conflict is a symptom of disharmony. Harmony comes from knowing who we are. I'm spirit soul, you're spirit soul, you live in this country, I live in this country. You have this culture, I have this culture, but, spiritually speaking, we're equal, we're all children of God.
Exactly.
And let's work together, let's compromise, let's work things out for the material and spiritual well-being of all of us involved. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. That's chant, I guess. And
it's time already. Yeah, well, that's the harmonizer.
Yeah. And it opens up your eyes, really. It makes it so that you're no longer blind. It makes it so that we see things very clearly. Yeah.
And this is, you just said it. I don't have to elaborate on it.
No.
Okay, what is our mantra, Ruben?
Haribol? Nitagor?
And?
Oh, no, Goranga.
No. All those are perfect mantras, but our mantra is Goranga Haribol. Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo. Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo.
Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo.
Haribo,
Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo.
Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo. Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo.
Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo.
Hare Haribo.
Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo.
Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo. Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo.
Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo. Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo.
Haribo,
Haribo,
Goranga, Haribo.
Goranga, Haribo.
Haribo,
Haribo,
Goranga, Haribo.
Goranga, Haribo.
Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo. Haribo, Goranga, 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 Goranga, Haribo.
Haribo,
Haribo,
Goranga, Haribo.
Goranga, Haribo.
Goranga, Haribo.
Goranga, Haribo.
Haribo.
Haribo. No,
Yeah, always comes back to that. Chanting is the secret. That is the ticket. And, the beauty is that even if you don't have faith in it, and most obviously probably wouldn't, certainly in the beginning, it works anyway. If you chant it sincerely, or if you chant it, inattentively or with complete faith or no faith, still works. Yeah, it's Kali Yuga gift. Because we don't have faith, we're not serious, we're not, we're lazy, whatever, all the different things. I mean, reality is in Kali Yuga, that's us, But if you chant it, it works anyway. It purifies the heart, Might be time to go back on one of the future episodes to why chant. Remember we did that one time?
How and why of meditation? Yeah. Or
okay, no, why chant? And then a quote from the Adi Purana on all the reasons.
Right.
Yeah. That's good to reiterate again because, that's our point, right? To educate people.
Yeah.
And so this is one of our scriptures. It's telling us why chant. Okay, this is why.
I'll put a link to that one in the episode description, so to make it easy for anyone listening.
When we do it, yeah. Okay, so
Oh, but we did
thank you,
something.
Ruben.
We did, but maybe that's.
Huh?
Oh, you mean we haven't recorded that one? I thought we did something about that.
We did it. Yeah, we did it.
Yeah, that's what. So I'm saying I could put that link in the episode description of this episode, so that people can go back.
Oh,
Yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah. I
And
kind of like to
develop.
go back over things again and just reiterate it.
The important, and you.
And if people are just following our episodes as they come up, they've forgotten that by now anyway.
That's very true. That's very true.
I mean, you ought to remember we did it. So,
Yeah.
we're the guys and we hardly remember it. So, the viewer will think, well, maybe I heard that somewhere, But the details of what was there, yeah, you put a link, they can go back. But
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got to go. Time's up.
Time's up. But good. Thanks everyone for having
Thank you
enough
once
faith
again,
to tune in.
Haribo, to everybody there.
Yeah. Thank you both.
Yeah. Of course, we're always thanking Slava and our Chintamani singers. Yeah. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time. Thank you, Valakia. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Namaste, Haribo.
Haribo. So I hope that you know that you can always leave a review, which will be very, very helpful for us to help spread this and share this to more people on Apple Podcasts. That is an implemented feature. You can always leave a comment on YouTube if you're watching this as well. And just hoping that you spread the word, keep engaged. You can, stay updated on our email list. And I hope to hear from you soon, or see you soon as well. So make sure to stay true to yourself and dare to break trail.